Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Enjoy.
Decent Christian Talk podcast, episode number 15. Thank you so much again for joining us, just like you do each and every time. We really appreciate it. We are very excited about what is in the future and on the horizon for this podcast. We've got a lot of interviews coming up from Creation Fest, including one today from Family Force 5. A lot of good stuff from them. Before we get to that, we need to talk about Soul Fuel, West Virginia. This weekend, you need to go to soulfuelwv.com if you haven't already. If you live in the Morgantown, West Virginia area, or if you're close to that area, such as Pittsburgh, Waynesburg, Washington, PA, or even in the Wheeling area, West Virginia, would be great to see you guys this weekend. We got all kinds of good stuff in store for you guys. David Crowder, who actually just announced today that he's got a tour with Tadashi coming this fall. This tour will be supported by his release that he is going to have this fall, and I'm sure that he will even be playing some tracks from that record this weekend at Soul Fuel. You'll need to come and check that out. Colton Dixon from American Idol, Mary Mary, the world famous Mary Mary. Tripley, who's one of my favorites, he's gonna drop some knowledge and then drop some rhymes. We've got all kinds of good stuff. I might even pick up a guitar, who knows? Come out and hang out with us. If you haven't got your tickets again, check out soulfuelwv.com for details. We would love to see you. Come hang out with us. The Decent Christian Talk crew will actually be running the stage all weekend long. I'd ask you guys to pray for me because I've been battling an upper respiratory infection all week, if you haven't already noticed. So definitely be in prayers for your boy. Would really appreciate that. One other thing before we get to some other things. There was a little bit of confusion on the giveaway, CD giveaway last week. And the confusion was this: apparently iTunes is not very user-friendly, and a lot of people were unable to give our lovely podcast a review. Fancy that, huh? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to extend the contest probably 2 more weeks, and we are going to have... All you have to do is show us that you subscribe to our podcast. Give us a screenshot. Send us a screenshot at our Twitter page. Anyone can DM us a screenshot at DC Talk Act 2. And one random person will win a brand new Bread of Stone record. I've listened to the album. It's pretty good. There's a lot of good collaboration efforts on there. You guys definitely need to check that out. Besides the whole free CD thing, you need to check out the Bread of Stone thing. So, once again, all you have to do is show us that you subscribe to our podcast. Give us a screenshot showing us you subscribe, and you'll be entered to win a free Bread of Stone record. Brand new. So, we've got a couple things to talk about. Some things that have happened since our last show. Last Friday, a brand new album from Need to Breathe dropped called Hard Love. That's in all caps, by the way, Hard Love. And it's done well. I think it's has had a lot of success on iTunes and on Billboard. A lot of great success. Good for those guys. I can't say that it's just not my genre, I guess. There are a few songs that I can appreciate, and to be honest with you, the front end of the album has some songs that are probably songs that I would listen to more than any other Need to Breathe material. That's good for me. But as the album progresses, it starts getting into their older stuff. There's a song that says, "I'll be your cowboy." And nothing wrong with people that enjoy that kind of lyricism. I'm not into it. I'm just not. That's kind of where I live. That's kind of the cliche music that everyone listens to around here, and I kind of got over that at an early age. So that song that they actually did with Shovels and Rope, who I actually like, was definitely not my favorite track. But having said that, please do not take my word for it. That's the thing about this podcast. We don't review music on our website because we do not want you to take our word for it. We want you to go check it out for yourself. Because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So you need to go check it out. Need to Breathe. Another release last weekend was by Hillsong UNITED. It was entitled Of Dirt and Grace. It's an acoustic record. For those that are into those arrangements, it'd be good for, the campfire settings, or the worship team that has more of a stripped down element acoustic wise. Really good. A lot of people have been a little, I wouldn't say put off, but they feel that the Hillsong United, the electronic kind of elements that have been put into it with the synths and the loops and all that, a lot of people are into it. A lot of people feel that as far as playing it from a worship band perspective, it's a little more difficult. I mean, it's great hearing it from Hillsong United, but as far as playing that in a worship setting in your local church, some of those tracks don't always work. That's what this record is for, in my opinion. This is for the people that need this more playable element, and that's not taken away from it. That's really not. I think that it's a more stripped down way of looking at some of the songs, and I enjoy it. It's more of a quiet time feel, I guess, for lack of a better term. I enjoy it. It's something that I would probably rather listen to when I would be praying, rather than Hillsong United regular stuff, which I would listen to while I'm running. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just my preference. Other people have different preferences. Again, let yourself be the judge. Don't take my word for it. I would say that we have something coming up in the future, probably within a month or so. I don't want to give too much away, but we have been given the opportunity to view the long-awaited Hillsong film that has been trying to get released for so long, and it's hopefully coming out this fall. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a later podcast, but I just kind of wanted to give that tease. Another good reason to subscribe to our podcast, so you can check that out in the future. That's definitely on the horizon for the Decent Christian Talk podcast. There's other things coming out. Other records coming out, on the horizon. Specifically, this weekend, one of this podcast's favorite bands, Relient K, is releasing a record called Air for Free, which actually I think you've been able to stream on Pandora for the last week, if you didn't already know that. But I'm excited for it. I've actually not heard much from it. I think I've heard maybe one or two songs. And I'm excited to hear what the rest of it sounds like. I was more into the guitar-driven Relient K, not so much the piano-driven. Not to say I didn't like it, I just preferred the guitar-driven a little more. I'm excited to hear this, just because Matt Thiessen is really good at, a lot like John Foreman, he's really good at putting lyrics on paper. And speaking of Matt Thiessen and John Foreman, I think I actually mentioned this on the last show. Switchfoot and Relient K are on tour together this fall. I believe it's called the Hope for America Tour. They're actually coming in our area on October 12th. So I am definitely interested in checking that out. Hopefully I'll be able to go. I'm very excited to see those two bands get together. They've done stuff together in the past. I think they did a tour for Habitat for Humanity, even did a track for them. But it's good to see those two get back together. Relient K doesn't tour as much as they used to, so it'll be good to see them. I'll be interested to see what band members they take out on tour as well. For those that are into metal, Forevermore is releasing Integral this weekend. I really can't tell you much else about it. There's a few Forevermore tracks that I've heard in the past that I like, and that's about all I can tell you. I don't know if this album is anything like those tracks. I don't know if this is completely different. For all I know, it's polka music. I don't know. Go check it out for yourself this weekend. Also, Leland is releasing a record called Invisible. Leland is now a part of the Bethel Music Group. And I think this might be his first album as part of the Bethel Music Group. So that'll be an interesting element to hear. I've always enjoyed Leland stuff. I thought he's always been underrated when it comes to songwriting. And, man, that guy has a really good voice, too. Really does. So I'm very interested on hearing that. I don't think I've heard anything from him for a while, to be honest. He did a collaboration with a band recently that I can't even remember. It escapes me at this time. I'm going to pinch myself later for not remembering that. But his voice sounds as good as ever. Definitely check that out. Definitely further down the road, it's worth mentioning Skillet is dropping their album Unleashed. We'll probably get into that a little more as that approaches. But I will say, as someone that's been a little critical of Skillet's the last 2 or 3 records, I'm very interested. Based on the singles that I've heard, I'm very interested in this. I think they made a very big conscious effort to not sound the same as their last 2 albums, and even giving a little throwback sound to those that have been panheads for so long. So I'm very excited about that. If you guys have not heard their singles, I'm sure you can find them on the band's page on YouTube. Some really good tracks. I'm excited to hear more from them. Hopefully their entire album sounds in that kind of vein. A lot of electronic flow into it, but not too much. I think Alien Youth might be an example of maybe a little bit too much. That was the times back in the early 2000s, but that was it was good for the time. That's just an album that I don't think held up over time, kind of like their first 2 or 3 albums did for me. Hey You, I Love Your Soul, their self-titled debut, and then Invincible, were really good for me. And then I think Alien Youth was their 4th album, and that wasn't, and there were some good tracks on there, but it wasn't my favorite. There's even a song on there that sounds like it came off of Ardent Worship. For those that have been a long time panheads, you'll know what I'm talking about. Before we get into the interview, I want to mention really quick, Stephen Curtis Chapman just announced he has written a memoir, a biography, if you will, called Between Heaven and the Real World. He's been a guy that's been very transparent about some of the things that he's gone through. I admire him for his representation of adoption in this country. I think his story that unfortunately turned tragic was a story that a lot of people, Christians, needed to hear. I think his story really helped people connect with people that wanted to adopt, but really didn't know didn't know the tools to do so. And I think Stephen Curtis really, I think he did a lot for that community. And I don't know what this book really is about. I would guess that he touches upon that. And I'm sure he's very honest, just like he always has been. I lied. There is still one more thing before the interview. I have to mention one more time before the end of, and maybe one other time after this, but the West Virginia floods, the damage has been assessed, and it is great in our local area. There are people that have lost their homes. We have loved ones that have lost their lives. We have people that don't have anywhere to go. And they're looking for any way of just a starting point, somewhere to go. And for those of you that don't know, there is a donate button on our website, decentchristiantalk.com. If you open up the page, I think you have to get on your desktop or your laptop to do this. I don't think it'll work on your mobile phone or your mobile device. You have to get on your desktop, I believe. But if you go to the right-hand side of the page, scroll down a little bit, there is a donate button, and every single cent that is contributed in the month of July, we will be giving straight to that just devastation. And I'll be hanging out with Brendan Gallagher this weekend. Hopefully we can get together and talk a little bit more about that, so we can even give you some details about where this money will be going. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of the needs are things like Lowe's gift cards, because people are starting to rebuild their homes that have just been so infected with mold and flooding that they have to, at least for now, build something that their family can live in. And so one of the biggest needs right now is Lowe's gift cards. I'm not sure that that's where this money will go. That's just an example of where I've seen a lot of the money go. But Brendan and I will talk. Hopefully we'll have something for you on the next podcast. Again, please go to decentchristiantalk.com, right-hand side of the page, click the donate button, and we will make sure that every penny goes to the West Virginia flood victims. We would really appreciate that. That's something that is near and dear to our hearts, because this is our neighborhood. This is where we live. All right, so the main event of this podcast, Family Force 5. We got to talk to them. This is podcast number 2 in this year's Creation Fest series. Family Force 5, one of the biggest and best party bands in America. They have one of the best live shows that you can go to. They're working on a new record. We talked a little bit about that. We talked a little bit about career retrospective. And to be honest with you, it's Family Force 5, so we had to have a little fun. So you just have to listen to it. Thank you again for joining us. Again, if you want to win, if you want to enter the CD giveaway contest, all you got to do is subscribe to the podcast. Give our Twitter page a DM with a screenshot, and you'll be entered to go into that contest. Without further ado, here's the interview with Family Force 5.
All right, hit that horn, babe. Let's dance.
So you guys have a new album coming out soon. Working on it anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
How much fun is that?
A lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Is a Is it harder to pick an album title or to kill weeds in your yard?
Oh,
that's a good
doing
question.
Some research.
I think Derek answered that the other day.
Yes, he did.
Well, I left it ambiguous, you know. I mean, it's tough.
How stressful is that though? Because I mean, it's not. It doesn't necessarily reflect on how good the album is, but
it does though.
You want something catchy, kind of.
Oh, you gotta have a good title.
It's a huge
We'll put it
decision,
this way:
actually.
there's no more weeds, and there isn't an album title yet. So
that probably answers.
We
your
got
question.
a couple though that feel good.
Yeah,
We just gotta.
Maybe put it up to fan vote.
we were getting
got a
some
couple
sushi
good
the
options.
other day, and we kind of came up with a couple that we all.
We created some words that do not exist.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking those might be good.
Weed killerinator.
Yeah.
That's one option.
I think that's got the most.
Man, I don't know how to kill weeds at my house. They're
It's
coming up
hard.
on the side of my house. And
Roundup, bro.
I got
hard.
Roundup.
Just gotta get both hands around their throat.
Roundup.
Didn't you
Gotta
watch the
threaten them.
Veggie Tales? The rumor weed?
Oh, the rumor weed, bro.
Yeah.
All about it.
Yeah.
In the
So if you could tell yourself, like your younger self, give yourself advice when you're just breaking in,
man.
what would you tell yourself?
It's tripping me out, bro.
Going through a time machine.
Oh, man. Get your master's degree.
My stepdaughter built a time machine the other day. It was pretty amazing. It was in the
Where'd you
kitchen.
go?
I didn't go anywhere.
Oh.
I mean, she can only go 5 years back, so I don't know where she was going.
Could she go in the future though?
Trying to go back to the womb or something. It's weird. It's like,
It's a good
don't go.
She's always doing stuff like
Back
that.
to the womb, yeah.
Man, that's a good question.
Get back to your womb. That's what I always tell her when she acts up.
You're grounded. Get back to the womb.
There's so much going on, I forgot the question.
What would you tell
Welcome
Josh
to
Olds
Family Force 5.
Circa, I mean, depends how young.
What would you tell your young
Beginning
self
of your career.
getting into the music business?
Man, I would say
Make
gotta
good decisions.
think about the long run first. You know, begin with the end in mind. And there's a lot of moments that people want to quit. There's a lot of not glamorous things. There's a lot of things that maybe hurt or get under your skin. Whether it's a fan saying something or an interview or a band member. But just knowing that it's a marathon and not a sprint, I think would be
That's good.
one.
And I would say to my younger self, man, before you get into this, I'm just going to tell you, it would have been a lot easier in the 90s.
I noticed you've been wearing some early 90s.
No, that's
gear on
80s.
the
That's
stage.
Heaven Bound stuff right
Yeah.
there.
You look like old DC Talk out there with the
Oh yeah.
Heaven
pants
Bound.
on.
Parachute pants?
Looks
Yeah.
like old
Yes.
song.
You guys are pretty active on Snapchat, and that seems to be a good way to connect with fans. What kind of things do you guys do on Snapchat?
Everything. Minus a couple.
Nothing is off road minus a couple.
We've been in the studio a lot lately, so it's
I saw some rehearsing
sometimes
on
we'll
there.
just be sitting around and I'll look over and Jacob will just be doing something.
What is
Out of the
living
ordinary.
the dream about?
Ooh.
It's living the dream, bro.
It's about our lives, about very real things we go through on the road.
Do you play yourself,
It's
or
very
do you have
serious.
actors playing?
I can't remember.
They're actors.
There's for stunts, it's actors, but
You guys are making enough
We
money
play
to
each
pay
other.
actors?
Whatever, I do my own
no,
stunts.
they're interns.
I do my own stunts.
Yeah, Ryan Gosling's playing
Wow.
me, yeah. So we pay him.
It was really weird. He ended up being like a really big fan of the band, and I wanted him to play Derek, but he would only play Jacob.
Yeah, Cedric the Entertainer got me.
I heard you hired some actors to be like dinosaurs tonight.
Oh
We
yeah.
Do they have to sign a waiver to make sure they're not going to get hurt?
No.
Wow.
We paid him in cheese balls.
Yes.
There's you guys went through a lineup change over the last few years. What was the biggest challenge when it came to not necessarily rebranding yourself, but kind of not starting over, but kind of a rebirth? What was that challenge?
I think one of the biggest things was on the last record, especially on this record. On the last record, it was trying to figure out who we were as a band and how we worked together, because it was taking that one component that we've all worked with for years. My older brother, and we had a chemistry there, but finding that chemistry without him. So I think that was it was a kind of a learning process, and this record especially is super fun, and we're all really excited, and we've been working really hard, and we've been writing a bunch, and feel like we've never been more cohesive as a band and a writing team and a creative team. So we're excited.
Who you guys touring with in the fall?
Sadie Robertson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's her first tour, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have to like meet her dad and like.
I would be way down.
Sure.
Grow a beard.
I'm working on the beard right now.
Our front of house guy he'll fit right in.
This is our front of house.
So are they selling like duck calls on tour?
I think we're playing a lot of Bass Pro Shops.
Oh, that's awesome.
And Cabela's.
Cabela's.
You know.
And
Gander Man.
you could have a whole new Family Force 5 clothing line.
Good, man.
Wow.
What is your favorite experience at festivals?
I like performing. Performing. I like the interaction with fans. There's something magical about when you get to be able to get on the stage and be able to see people laughing, having a good time, and jumping up and down. There's similar experiences every time you get on stage, but it's different every time too. So it's like it's really cool.
You also see some awesome bands. We get to watch Switchfoot tonight. That's cool. And you know, it's a good place to learn about bands, because a lot of times there's some new young band that you've never heard of, or even a band you just never got a chance to see. I remember Nate and I went and watched Sleeping Giant in this little tiny tent at Ichthus one year, and we're just like, what? Where's these guys been? This is awesome. You know, there's just cool moments like discovery. I think it's pretty fun.
That's cool, guys. Thank you so much for your time.
I have a question.
Do you have one more?
Big brother.
Okay, sorry. Stepping on toes.
So you guys use a lot of stage props all the time. What's one stage prop that you guys have used where you were like, that was a bad idea, we probably shouldn't have done that?
Well, nothing.
I don't think. Yeah, I mean,
what's your favorite stage prop that you've ever used?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
We did a raft. We did a raft for 1 year that was pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
It was so fun though.
It was pretty fun.
I rode out that out in the dance party.
Yeah.
But if you ride
terrifying.
the raft and it gets tipped the wrong way, nobody's gonna catch you.
We had a lot of cool. There's been moments on a bunch of them that are kind of dicey, you know, because some of them are kind of homegrown, and we'll family.
It's a very allegorical conversation we're having here. Dicey and homegrown.
Getting hungry.
We got the Zorb. That was a pretty cool.
The Zorb, that was fun. The trampolines are always fun. They're hilarious when you're on them, but then when you break through them, that's when you question yourself and go, "Oh, that should have that. Ouch, my ankle."
Yeah.
Or you know what was funny? One time we had these backpacks with balloons that stuck up, and they had our huge pictures of our heads,
giant lights.
And the first night that we did it, we all accidentally had the wrong people's heads on. I had your head on, and I think you had. And we also had these tank tops that had our faces, the same pictures printed on it. So it's supposed to be head, and then head up there. But we also had the wrong. We didn't have all the tank tops printed up, so we all were wearing the same person.
That was hilarious.
That was pretty funny.
Well, we really gotta go now. She's gonna.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, guys. Have a good show. Don't really break a leg.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.